What's going on, traders? Going 5 for 5 today, I believe. Yeah, because we traded SI twice, and then the other one's just once. So we will get into this right away, as always, starting on BYND. This actually was all one trade, but we're going to go ahead and show you previous resistance down here around 18. And we went ahead and got this thing started on this candle here. We actually got a first entry, an add, and then a cover of half. So this was 100, 100, and then we took off 100, and then it went back up, added 100, and then added 200. So we ended up with 400 shares and then pieced this out on the way down. So ended up being a pretty good trade. You can see maybe a little intra-market from the pre-market high previous resistance, sorry, right there on BYND. And again, just right off the intensity stock watch scanner and onto my chart and looking for the best entries. Hit it when I thought it was, and there we go. As you can see, since then, it did come back and retest that area, but it ultimately ended up making a really nice run up and then eventually failing down to the same areas yet again. Next trade was on SI. This was our other good one. We traded this one twice. It's actually funny. When I'm zoomed out all the way, this is what I see. And I typically always stay zoomed out unless I am in a trade for longer than a couple minutes, and then maybe I'll zoom in to kind of see what's going on. But I happen to just notice this was kind of in an upward trend. And a lot of times when you see these trends, when price action gets outside of them, it tends to want to come back to it. However, finding its way back to it after the move it makes is kind of a discretionary thing to you, and figuring out how far it can go before it decides to come back, because it doesn't have to, stop where it did, or, doesn't have to be a certain percentage, certain dollar amount, doesn't have to do any of that. It can do whatever it wants. So that's where your strategy and your edge and your ability to read price action, et cetera, comes into play with this stuff. So as you can see on this trade, I actually didn't have that line drawn, so we'll get rid of it. I was really just looking at this. We had previous resistance at 2050. It made a nice move all the way up towards 22. We got filled at 2176. It did try 22 and then ultimately came down. We had an order out at 2127, just looking for the 21 retest. We got filled. I only took 50 shares on this one. I remember saying 22 to 21. If I took 100 shares, that's $100. But I traded inside that range. So with 50 shares, it actually ended up being a little bit less than I thought. I thought I was trying to make like $40, but we only ended up making, I think, like $25 on this. Because obviously, if it was a full dollar, or around a full dollar, it would have been closer to 40. But since we were 30 cents under and 30 cents above, it kind of cut into that a little bit. After we got out, this thing went for a ride. So I really was waiting for volume to really come back into this, and it never really did in comparison to that candle that we made. However, this is when I was scrolled out, and I just happened to be looking, and I was like, you know what? That kind of looks like a trend line. So I ended up drawing this trend line, and I just started kind of looking at it, and I'm like, that looks pretty good. It keeps touching that same line, but now we're going above it. So at this point, I'm like, I know I want to get in this trade, but I don't want to be way too early. So I was really hoping for some kind of telltale sign, and we just started to really curl. You can kind of see it start to curl, going straight up. And right here, it just kind of felt toppy. We were watching it. The price action really started to slow down. And so we went ahead and took a starter with 50 shares, because I knew that we might be early and I didn't want a chance, pushing my luck. Plus, on top of that, at the time when I took this entry, I'm thinking we could at least get our 23 retest, right? That was my goal here. However, right after we got in, this thing decided to shoot up, and I was like, oh, and it like really went, almost like a dollar. So at this point, I'm like, all right, we're gonna wait for that jiggle. Gave us a jiggle up there at 24.71. Started to come back down, so I hit it. Got filled at 24.36, and as you can see, it came straight down, and I took some off pretty close to break even on this one, because I wasn't really a fan of how it did that and like how slow it was moving. But really should have stuck with my gut on this one. I almost, after I got that 50 off, I felt comfortable again. I was going to switch this to take 25 instead of 50, looking for that other 25 to come down and test 23 and maybe even that trend line. But I didn't. I left it in there. We got the fill, made like another $35 on it or so. So I wasn't too upset with the trade itself. But really could have maximized this one a little bit had I kind of stuck with my original plan, because I did have this line drawn, and it would have been nice to kind of stick with it. That was SI. That was our two big trades on the day. Then we had BKKT, which this one was a little bit frustrating, because I hit this one feeling like it was going to reject two. It didn't. It went straight up right, literally a second after I hit the button. We get filled at 194, and then it shoots up to 204, and it came back down and started to just kind of hover here right at our average. So it came back down to 191. I ended up taking this off at 193 because it got to 191. I had to order out, I think, at 186 or so. But it just did not want to get down through that 191. And so when it started to creep back up, I took it off at 193 for break even. And as you can see, I was right. It did go back up through the highs. I did not jump back in. I would have been looking for a much bigger extension up towards like 220 or so. And we just didn't get that. It ended up being a fake out breakout there, and it came all the way back down. So a little bit frustrating. Had I waited that extra second, we get filled on the other side of two. And this actually ends up being a $30, $40 trade. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. So it happens. It is what it is. Then there was AMBO, which I did not trade, but you guys are going to laugh a little bit. I put an order out at basically the high of day. And I say basically because if you look at the high of day, it was 0.6964. Well, if you could imagine where I may have put my order out, where would you say I put my order out? Because you'd probably be right. And if you can't really read that, I'm sorry, but it says 0.6969. And as childish as that is, yes, that is just kind of who I am. We put 400 shares out there at 6969. And as you can see, it was 1144. So the order was out as it was going up, and it was out there before it got to that point. And I mean, you can even see when the 1112 candle started, it was still up there. I thought we were going to get filled because the halt price was up, I think, at like 72, 73, 74. I don't remember exactly. But me just being the childish person that I am sometimes, I usually will just front run the halt when on ones like this, basically to the penny. But I was like, you know what? I'll take the risk of an extra couple cents just to get that fill. Well, it comes up and I literally see it at 6964. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm about to get filled. And, hopefully it doesn't go up and halt. It stops at 6964, 0.0005 of a penny away from a fill. And I was going to drag it down because it stuck at this 68.98 area. So it went to 6964, but then it came down to 69 or 6898 and stuck there for like a good 3 or 4 seconds. I thought about trying to drag the order down, but it was on SSR. So I couldn't even drag it down to get filled right away. I would have had to chase it down on the ask, and who knows if I would have got filled anyway. But there was no part of me that didn't think I was going to get that fill. And had we got that fill, the thing literally dumped straight down to like that 55 area, or I think it was like 57. So immediately that would have been another $30, $40. And man, it could have been a $200 day right there between those last two trades. But unfortunately, didn't get this one. Unfortunate on BKKT. And then pretty much right as we were about to shut it down, LQDA made a nice little run. And you can see this one was in the afternoon. Previous resistance all the way down here, 660. We actually started this one on the way up at 7. It felt like it was going to reject, and it actually made a nice pop up to 7. So I was looking for the quick drop back down towards the 680s. I only took 100 shares. I was just looking to make $20 on it. But it went straight up after we got out and went to 720. Made a nice pop up on to 720. I saw the bid come up with it, so I hit it right away. Got filled at 718. As it came down, our average I think was 707, 708, something like that. And so I just took 100 off to be safe in case, because this didn't really have a lot of volume overall in the day. It still doesn't really for this late in the day, but just to be safe in case it wanted to pop back up towards the highs, I could then get maybe another ad and bring my average up even more. But it actually came down and hit an order that we had out down here at 693 for the remaining 100. And we ended up making around $20 on it, $18.40. So gave us $147.26 on the day. Could have easily been a $200 day. So there is that. I'm pretty stoked about that. Today felt normal. We made more than yesterday, which is nice. I think this was our biggest day pretty much in a long time. And it felt normal. That is good. That is very good. Have not raised the max loss. Plan on leaving it where it's at for now until we start to run into problems with that. Hopefully, we can start banging out 150 $200 days while keeping that max loss where it's at, which is at $1,000. And we're just going to keep trucking. Hopefully, the market kind of stays the way that it is. We're getting a lot of these like little pops here that are giving nice pullbacks. Even the ones that aren't giving nice pullbacks, they're at least giving a temporary pullback, which is falls right into my strategy. Which I mean, that is my edge, is just looking for those first quick pullbacks. And as long as we keep getting those, we'll be good. So that's all I got. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Always appreciate the support. We just crossed 9,000 last night, and I appreciate that. When we hit 10,000, we're going to be doing something special. 2023 is a very make it or break it year for me. It's been absolute shit so far. We lost CMEG as an affiliate altogether. So the money I had coming in from that is no longer. We took the huge loss on Neon of almost double a max loss. Turned around 2 days later. I forget the ticker, but we essentially took a max loss on that one as well for $1,000. It was like 930. I actually clawed my way back that day to only down about 350 or so. And so we gained back about 600, but that was a horrible week. The month of January, I think we ended up down $1,300 or so. So we're fighting back from a hole. Maybe tomorrow I'll go over the TraderSync stats and all that stuff, but 2023 January specifically so far has just been absolutely crap. And all I can do is think positive. Right now, things feel right. I'm getting some trades in. Things are going well. I'm staying safe. I'm not getting crazy FOMO. Like, I'm not taking anything I wouldn't normally take. Hopefully the market stays the way it's going. It's making some good moves right now. The SPY is just absolutely killing it. Maybe not right now, but I mean, you scroll out, it's made a pretty crazy move off the Fed talk yesterday. We'll see if it can hold those gains at all. And, hopefully we can just keep moving forward. Again, working on something pretty big behind the scenes. Should be hopefully within the next 2 weeks, kind of coming out with that news, and keep moving forward. Discord, Twitter, those links are in the description. Comment section is always there down below. See you tomorrow. Peace.